The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly in the corner store, casting a sterile glow over the cluttered aisles. The linoleum floor was scuffed, the air heavy with the scent of cleaning supplies and stale coffee. At the counter, Maya clutched a pack of diapers, her fingers trembling as she counted out her last coins. Her baby, Lila, nestled in a fraying sling against her chest, cooed softly, oblivious to the weight pressing down on her mother's shoulders. Maya's dark eyes darted to the total on the register, $8.47. Her coins, meticulously scraped from the bottom of her purse, amounted to exactly that, no more, no less. Her stomach growled, a reminder of the meal she'd skipped to afford this necessity. Behind her, a man in a tailored suit stood patiently, his polished shoes tapping lightly on the floor. Ethan Caldwell, CEO of a tech empire worth billions, wasn't used to waiting. His days were a blur of boardrooms and private jets, yet here he was, in a cramped store in a struggling neighborhood, picking up a late-night energy drink. His phone buzzed in his pocket, another email, another deal, but his attention was on the young woman ahead of him. There was something about her, the way her shoulders slumped, the way she whispered to her baby as if shielding her from the world's harshness. The cashier, a bored teenager with chipped nail polish, rang up the diapers. "That's $8.47, she said, her voice flat. Maya slid the coins across the counter, each one clinking like a final heartbeat. She held her breath, praying she'd counted right. The cashier swept the coins into the register without a second glance. "No bag?" she asked, already looking past Maya to the next customer. "No, thank you," Maya murmured, tucking the diapers under her arm. She turned to leave, her sneakers squeaking against the floor, but paused when Lila let out a small cry. Maya's hand instinctively went to her daughter's back, soothing her with a gentle pat. She didn't notice Ethan watching, his sharp blue eyes softening. As Maya stepped toward the door, Ethan moved to the counter, setting down his energy drink. But instead of paying, he leaned forward and spoke quietly to the cashier. "Add another pack of those diapers to my bill. And a gift card, $200. Put it in a bag with a receipt and leave it by the door. Don't say who it's from." The cashier raised an eyebrow but complied, used to odd requests from late-night customers. Ethan paid with a tap of his card, his expression unreadable, and slipped out into the night. Outside, the city hummed with distant traffic and the occasional wail of a siren. Maya trudged down the sidewalk, the weight of the diapers a small victory against the tide of her struggles. She was 24, a single mother who'd lost her job at a diner when it shuttered last month. Her apartment was a one-room walk-up with peeling paint, and her savings were gone. The coins she'd spent were the last of her cash, scavenged from couch cushions in an old jar. Tomorrow loomed like a storm cloud, she had no plan, no safety net. But Lila needed diapers, and that was enough to keep her moving. She didn't notice the small plastic bag tucked beside the store's entrance until she nearly tripped over it. Frowning, she bent down, balancing Lila carefully. Inside was a pack of diapers, identical to the one she'd bought, and a gift card with a receipt. No note, no name. Maya's breath caught. She glanced around, half expecting to see someone watching, but the street was empty except for a man in a suit disappearing around the corner, his silhouette swallowed by the city's glow. Back in her apartment, Maya sat cross-legged on the floor, Lila asleep in her lap. She stared at the gift card, turning it over in her hands like it might vanish. $200. Enough for food, formula. Maybe a week's rent if she stretched it. Her eyes stung, tears threatening to spill. She didn't know who'd left it or why, but the gesture felt like a lifeline, a reminder that she wasn't as alone as she'd feared. The next morning, Ethan sat in his corner office, the city sprawling beneath him through floor-to-ceiling windows. His desk was littered with reports, but his mind kept drifting to the store, to the young woman with the baby. He'd grown up in a place not unlike that neighborhood, back when his mother worked double shifts to keep the lights on. He hadn't thought about those days in years, success had a way of burying the past. But something about Maya's quiet determination had cracked open that old wound, that memory of hunger and hope. He didn't know her name, but he couldn't shake the image of her counting those coins. On impulse, he pulled up his company's community outreach program. It was a tax write-off, mostly, a glossy initiative that funded local charities. But it could do more. He typed a memo to his team, a new fund for single parents, emergency grants for basic needs like diapers and formula. No bureaucracy, no red tape, just help, fast. He named it the Lila Fund, though he'd never admit why. Weeks passed. Maya used the gift card sparingly, buying only what she and Lila needed. The extra diapers gave her breathing room, and a neighbor's tip led to a part-time job at a grocery store. It wasn't much, but it was a start. One evening, while scanning the local news on her ancient phone, she saw an article about a new charity fund launched by some tech mogul. The Lila Fund, it was called, offering grants to parents like her. Her heart skipped. Lila wasn't an uncommon name, but the coincidence felt like a sign. She applied, expecting nothing. A week later, a check arrived, $1,000, no strings attached. The accompanying letter was generic, signed by some corporate assistant, but it mentioned the fund's goal, to support parents facing impossible choices. Maya cried then, clutching the letter as Lila babbled in her crib. She didn't know who'd started it or why, but she whispered a thank you to the universe, hoping it would reach them. Ethan never knew what became of Maya. He didn't need to. The Lila Fund grew, helping thousands across the country, its impact rippling far beyond that corner store. But late at night, when the city was quiet and his office empty, he'd think of that moment, the clink of coins, the weight of a small kindness, and feel, for the first time in years, that he'd done something that mattered. Maya, meanwhile, kept moving forward. The grant bought her time to enroll in community college, a step toward a nursing degree. She'd tell Lila stories about the mystery gift, the stranger who'd seen them when they felt invisible. Someone out there believed in us, she'd say, kissing her daughter's forehead. And now, we're going to believe in ourselves. And in that shared, unspoken connection, a fleeting moment in a corner store, the world felt a little kinder, a little more human, for them both.